Welcome to another episode of the Spartan Show. We have a couple of very special guests this week. Josh and myself, we chat with Desiree and Roxie the Aussie. We're talking Ragnar Relay on Cape Cod and the Spartan Sprint in Rutland. Enjoy the show.
Paul,
Yes.
in all of that preparation, the 31 minutes we just spent, what did we miss?
Episode 74 of the Spartan Show.
Crushed it. Okay.
There we go. Welcome to episode 74 of the Spartan Show. It is Paul and Josh today, but we have a special guest. So, should we let our special guest introduce herself?
Absolutely. I wouldn't be able to do her justice.
Hi, everyone. This is Desiree Rincon with, Roxie the Aussie.
Who is not in the microphone. We didn't mic Aussie up. As Josh just alluded, we've just spent the last 31 minutes trying to figure out how to share headphones between two people, because we're tech geeks and that's apparently rocket science tonight. And we did not figure out how to get a dog on the microphone. So Roxy might join us later, but not right now. So we're recording this on Monday night, Monday the 14th. And Desiree is at my house, and we are here to talk about this past weekend, because it was a very, very, very tiring but fun weekend.
That's an understatement.
Yes.
It was a long weekend.
So we all got up to an awful lot. It was our annual outing on the Cape for Ragnar Relay, which Josh and I ran as part of Team NES Ninjas, and Desiree picked up an ultra team of people you don't know.
Complete strangers.
Yeah, so we'll talk about that experience.
Business as usual.
Business as usual, just another weekend. And then I came home and did nothing, and these suckers went and did a Spartan Sprint over at Rutland. So I figured it was a good time to get on the show and have a chat.
We like to engage in recreational self-abuse. I mean,
Recreational self-abuse.
why stop at a 200-mile relay race, right?
So,
I've never heard it put that way, but I enjoy the saying.
so Josh, how was your Ragnar Relay experience?
My Ragnar experience was top-notch in multiple ways. So we've covered Ragnar for, I think this is our third year probably talking about it.
Probably, yeah. But it's my fourth year.
And my fifth year running it. And it's usually the event that opens my season, but that was before I met Molly, who makes me run all year round. So now I have a lot of races before Ragnar. But
That's a good woman right there.
she's an amazing woman. It also helped, I think, because the whole idea of Ragnar is not only the teammates and the camaraderie and the goofiness and the staying up all night and the eating shit and the
Lots of shit.
drinking beer.
Copious amounts of shit.
Yeah, there's also running involved.
Yes.
Oh, that thing.
And running at all times of the day. And I had, in short, my best year at Ragnar ever. So I felt great running. But that's, the running is almost the afterthought when it comes to this event.
Oh, yeah.
No, speak for yourself. You were on a regular team, weren't you?
Well, this is the thing. When you make sensible decisions and you join regular teams and you only run 3 legs, then everything else is secondary to the running is secondary to everything else.
Yeah, I make poor life choices, and this was no different.
So you messaged me on like Wednesday and you said, so I'm coming to the Cape and I'm landing Thursday, like 24 hours away, and I'm being picked up, but I don't know anyone. So what was your experience? What does an ultra team do, and what did you end up doing?
Okay, so let's see. With regards to an ultra team, obviously you're running twice as many legs.
Yes.
And there's 2 real ways to go about this. You either team up and decide to do back-to-back legs. So you would technically, in a team of 12, where you have 12 designated people as runners, you would actually be picking up legs for runner 1 and 2.
Yeah.
So they'd be back-to-back, and you just literally blow through the exchange points and keep going.
But you didn't do that, did you?
No, we did not do that. And that is because our captain made an executive decision to apparently, instead of doing that, break it down to where we just went every 6 legs. So, runner 1 would also be runner 7. So we'd be the first runner in basically both vans. We'd be running every 6 legs. That, while it makes the legs shorter, it also means you get exactly 0 sleep throughout most of the event.
And all those aches and pains we feel getting up for our 3 legs after sitting in the van,
they're compounded
6 times.
Yes, that much more so. In all honesty, the hot tub is what saved me this weekend.
We spent 2 hours in the hot tub last night.
I looked like, yes, I was pretty crippled finishing Ragnar. It was terrible. By leg 5, or actually the only thing that really saved me legitimately to be able to finish the legs, it was both, I guess, a blessing and a curse. It was the fact that I was getting rained on by freezing cold rain the entire time on my last leg. And it made me so numb that I couldn't feel the pain in my legs. So
we saw you when we were leaving, and we were thrilled that we managed to finish before it started raining, and we were leaving before the real rain started. And then we saw you.
How miserable did I look?
You did not look particularly happy. Neither did Roxie, to be fair. Roxie looked like a little drowning rat.
my poor baby. I'm sure she resents me for some of the things I put her through sometimes. But
I'm pretty sure she doesn't.
So for the Ultra team, Desiree, do you guys, and obviously I know you didn't know any of these people, but it's one van of 6 people, right?
Yes, I've done several Ultra teams because okay, so I make lots of poor life choices, but I've ran in several Ultra teams, and we've split it up in many different ways. I already spoke about the 2 different ways you could break it up with terms of legs. In terms of transportation and accommodations, I've actually been on teams where we do get 2 minivans, and have 3 people in each team, which is beautiful because it allows people to be able to actually go and eat at like real restaurants with real food and have real downtime, kind of like in regular teams.
Yeah.
You just run longer legs, but you do have some semblance of downtime. And that's huge. You don't have that luxury in a 6-person van because you have to go through all of the exchanges and you have to wait for people. So you don't get a chance to stop. And even during the virtual stops, like when, the other van picks up, we had to grab a ticket and from the finishing individual, from the officials at the finishing exchange, and then drive over the 30 or so miles to the other new point and just start from there again, all over. We had no break in between.
And so the people you're running with, are they, what time did you start? Let's start there. What time did you start your race?
We started at 7 a.m.
7 a.m. and you finished probably, what was it, 1:30ish or so?
No, 3.
3 o'clock.
Yeah, we didn't leave.
You're way off.
Yeah.
And when I think ultra runners, I think people that are running these marathons every weekend, and the people that are just putting miles down at super fast speeds. Was your team all
No, not even a little bit.
No.
No. And certainly not after leg 4. We looked pretty pathetic. No, I think it's, some ultra teams I've been on feel like, some ultra teams are 7-minute milers that are all gung ho as you speak. But then there's there's a couple of people that get in over their heads that try to do an ultra team because it would be cheaper. It's cheaper to sign up as an ultra team for starters. And it's cheaper to get one van, for instance. And a lot of people get in over their heads because they also don't want to have to pay for volunteers if they're local or anything like that. So they seem to be under the impression we'll just go ultra. It won't be that bad.
It's only a few extra 5Ks here and there, right?
Yeah, no.
No, not so much.
Not so much.
Huh. I never even thought of an ultra team who would be an ultra team because they were doing it cheaper.
Yeah. No. I will gladly pay more money to run less miles, and that is usually not the case ever.
So when I first started running Ragnar, the first four teams that I was in were all ultra teams. And then my very first team that I actually joined up that was not an ultra team was Chicago Ragnar. And the first time I did a normal regular team, I had so much downtime. I didn't know what to do with myself.
Yes.
I was like, oh my God, what do I do? So I stopped at Walmart and I bought like tons of yarn and I crochet needles and I crocheted beanies for all of my teammates. Cause I literally, that was literally what I did. I crocheted beanies and scarves for all of my teammates and stuff. This is what I did.
Well, I remember the first year we did Ragnar, the phrase that kept coming to my mind was hurry up and wait. You run like the hell, you get to your leg, you exchange, you get changed, and then you sit there for another 8 hours, right, while you wait. And you sit in the back of the van, you wait. And I remember it being a lot about hurry up and wait. But for whatever reason this year, and I think it was probably because I was in van 2 for the first time, so we woke up refreshed that morning. Unlike van 1, who has to get up at 3 a.m.
Yep.
We didn't get up till 7:30. It was great.
You know what though? Even though van 2 has that nice perk, van 1 has a super nice perk of enjoying
breakfast.
all of the finish line.
Breakfast. They get breakfast.
Yeah, they get breakfast.
There's a breakfast spot on the Cape that Van 1 goes to.
They actually get breakfast twice.
And they give you pancakes as big as your head. They're
really?
Amazing. Yeah, and I was really bummed I didn't get to go this year because I was in Van 2.
And you know what the funny part is? We could just get up early and go get breakfast, but we choose not to. We eat shitty continental
I'd
breakfast.
I'd much prefer to just whine about it and get some sympathy. It's not working for me, but I'm trying.
Right.
I knew nothing of this. Clearly, I've been on the wrong team all this time.
Well, that's we can fix that for next year. We had 8 teams.
Duly noted.
Yeah, we had 8 teams.
At least it won't be a bunch of complete strangers.
Could be still a complete bunch of strangers.
Yeah. Admittedly, I don't know a lot of the people that were on those other teams. I know 2 or 3 of them, and then the rest of the team was filled out with faces that I've never met before. And I was a little sad we didn't run into really anybody except for the worst game of tag team.
Yeah, so they sent us out at 5 a.m., which immediately for the first, 12 hours, put us right on the edge of all the cutoffs. So we were arriving at exchanges that hadn't quite been set up yet, volunteers who hadn't figured out their flow yet, and we were paranoid about getting held. I don't know why we went at 5 a.m., that's just what they gave us, but we were done by 10:30 a.m. on Saturday.
Wow.
We were done.
Must be nice.
It was cool. The porta potties hadn't been used yet, so that side of it was cool, but, we found ourselves really nervous. We had at one point, we're telling Van 1, you can't let runner 6 leave until 9:28 a.m.
I only had that problem with one other Ragnar, but that was a Ragnar where I was in a team of 7-minute mile runners.
We were not a team of 7-minute milers.
I mean, no offense, but I can't imagine.
I'm a plodder, not a runner. Now, so we've only ever run on the Cape, and you told me this, and I thought it was pretty cool, but where do you rank the Cape when it comes to Ragnar road runs that you've done?
Okay, I'm glad you brought this up because...
So how many Ragnar trail and road runs have you done? Different regions.
Total, I have done 25. This was actually our 25th Ragnar event.
Okay.
And that's both road and trail, yes. And this year we're actually gunning for Immortal, and this is our 4th event this year.
Did you see the medal, the guy with the medal?
Oh, he's a friend of mine. Okay. He's running Immortal this year too.
It's massive.
Along with me. Yeah, a matter of fact, we're on the same team for Pennsylvania.
Okay. All right.
We have a Pennsylvania team where I think out of our 12 runners, 10 of us are going Immortal this year.
So is the only way to get a tangent, the only way to get to that status, is it to just pick up random teams? Not be fussy, just get in where you can, or do you have a plan going in?
Oh, a lot of people have plans. A matter of fact, there is there are a group of people. We have a Facebook group that's actually just Ragnar Immortal. Of course
there's a sub-community for this.
Of course there is.
Of course
yes. And we all sit there and literally plan our Ragnars and goes, hey guys, these are the ones that I'm looking at doing. These are the ones you guys are looking at doing. Who wants to start a team? Who wants to get in on this? Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. So, and there is a, Ragnar Life group that does this exact thing.
Life.
Yes. Yes. So we all basically scheme our we scheme.
Yep.
We scheme how are we going to go about this 12.
I feel like you could get into teams if you wanted to just be a free agent. Like I saw right up until the day of
I'm a free
Cape
agent.
Cod. Yeah, there were people posting like, we've got a spot, we just need a runner, somebody come run, everything's paid for. So if you want to get...
That was me for this team, actually.
Oh, okay.
And so here's the thing. Because I have a service animal, she's not always welcome. Because you have people with allergies, you have people that just don't want a dog in their van, you have people who are deathly afraid, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. A couple of years ago, this year, I got booted off the SoCal team that I was on because somebody was uncomfortable with my dog. So I had to find, a last minute person. Oh. And a couple of years ago, same thing happened for Ragnar Chicago. And actually, lucky enough, I got booted the week of Ragnar. I was scrambling to find a new team, and the team that I found was full of veterinarians.
Ah.
So it was literally a team full of
awesome.
veterinarians. So it worked out perfectly. But
nice.
With that said, yeah, I guess you could say I'm a free agent because I go around basically posting on the Facebook event pages going, hey, I've got a dog. If your whole team's cool with this, let's do this thing. And I wasn't originally going to do Cape Cod. Cape Cod had been on my radar for several years because I'd heard so many nice things about it and, about the scenery, which I'll get to in a second. But, I genuinely wanted to run this and I kind of hopped on the event page and lo and behold, my captain basically posted and said, hey, if there's any crazy woman out there, we have an all-female ultra team. We're looking for a last-minute runner to take up.
Hey, I'm a crazy woman.
Yeah, basically. Yeah. Hey, that works out. Are you cool with having a dog in your van? Yes. All right. Let's do this thing. And so I just kind of took a last-minute flight and flew up here. But now, with that said, I'm extremely glad I did because Ragnar Cape Cod is probably now my absolute favorite road Ragnar. It is absolutely beautiful. The scenery is beautiful. The weather, except for that last leg, actually held up pretty well. Like all of Saturday.
That's not normal. Normally it rains the whole frickin' time, or at least overnight.
Really?
Yeah, at least overnight.
Oh, no, overnight was lovely.
Yep.
Cold, but lovely. I mean, but everything's cold to me because I'm from Florida. But it was cold. But it was absolutely, it looked like Thomas Kincaid barfed all over the landscape, but that in a good way. It looked like every postcard ever. It was absolutely beautiful. The houses are adorable.
See, we're totally immune to it, aren't we, Josh?
We are.
You must be because I was all like slack-jawed and open-eyed, like, looking like Bambi. Probably almost got hit by like 15 cars because I was busy staring at shiny things.
That's hilarious. Yeah, we're very immune to that.
It's a beautiful area. I mean, I'm sure you guys would probably think the same if you decided to run like Ragnar Miami or Key, well, back when the Keys existed. But if you came down to Florida and ran Ragnar, you'd probably be like, wow, look at this. And I'd just be like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
We're so impressed by the landscape, so we stopped at McDonald's before our legs began.
I did not eat McDonald's because I was about to go and run. I figured that would be a terrible idea.
Oh. Yeah, you get a case of the runs.
Yeah. But we had two people in the van who were fueled by McDonald's, so we had to have a McDonald's break. I had my
best run ever after that Big Mac.
Yeah. Yeah, we stopped at a British brewing company, and I had a steak and ale pie, sausage rolls, and 2 beers, and that might have been a mistake.
That clearly, yes.
That was uncomfortable for that second run.
Oh, I bet. Probably hit your stomach like a ton of bricks.
Now, did you go up the monument when you got to P-Town?
I went up to the monument because...
That's where the beer and the food was.
Yeah, exactly.
But did you go up the monument?
No, I did not. I didn't even know you could.
Yeah, you can choose to go up that monument. But
I've
it's
been
what,
lied
400
to my whole
steps? Life. I think it's like 400 steps or something like that.
Really?
Yeah.
No, I would have been like, no, screw this noise. At that point, maybe next year when I run a regular team.
There you go.
Maybe when I run a regular team and I can still I'm still ambulatory. Because, I mean, just going up the little hill at the finish line was like the worst
hurts.
ever.
That's just cruel of them.
That
to
is
use that
terrible.
hill.
That's pretty awful.
Your last runner comes in and the whole team has been frozen, their legs are locked up, and they have to jog and shuffle up that hill.
Yeah. Absolutely terrible. Yeah.
Well, we love Ragnar. My experience at Ragnar was very similar to Josh's because we were in the same van. So
You know what else made this experience fantastic? And okay, so as many Ragnars as I've run all over the country and in Canada, and I mean, like, as many as I've run, I have to say, this Ragnar had the absolute nicest police officers ever.
Really?
They were so nice. They were so, like, they directed traffic on point. They were, like, there to take care of us. They were, like, nice, and they were all saying, like, hello, and you've got this. Like, I had random police officers just, like, talking on their speakers out of their cars going, good job, runner. You keep up going. And I was just like, wow,
See, I don't know if we can publish this now because New England have an image.
I know,
right?
you guys have a
and
rep
you're
to
gonna
maintain.
ruin their image, and the police, the police officers, they have that image.
Yeah, it's all bull. It's all crap.
You're wrecking our street cred.
The absolute nicest cops ever. I cannot even stress this. I mean, I actually started writing like a letter, and I thought about even posting it on Facebook and just tagging every department, every police department between Hull and Provincetown, just to be like, yeah, you guys
ruin their
killed
reputation.
it.
They wouldn't appreciate it. They've got to have a reputation to uphold here.
Absolutely nice, so nice. And I mean, I don't know if maybe it's because I had a cute dog with me, or but no, not even. When we were all in the van, they were just directing traffic so smoothly. They were just, I mean, they were on point. They were doing
the ones I ran into at the end of my third leg, I think we were in Truro at that point. Super, cheering you on, saying good job, you're almost there, and so I guess maybe we take it for granted. Maybe we do have nice cops the whole time. They're also
nice
probably
cops and
making
good scenery.
$140 an hour, so it's easy.
Well,
to be
yeah,
nice.
there is that. They'll probably
there's that
get
too.
paid.
Yeah,
overtime.
I'm sure.
Yeah,
I'm sure they were thrilled to be there.
Yeah. But-
So for as stiff and as sore as you are when you're doing those, like, running every 6 legs, how does little Roxie do that? Like, is she just all beans and no problem, or does she get beat up and stiff?
Oh, she gets beat up and stiff too.
Okay.
She does. She has to get little, like, doggy massages. Like, I have to massage her legs out. I have to stretch her out. And she's starting to show a bit of her age now too.
Oh.
But yeah, she gets that way too. She's not immune to it. She does a lot better than I do. With a lot less complaining. But no, she's stretched out on the ground right now.
Yeah, right in front of my chair.
Yeah.
Huh. No, I mean, so for our experience, we get a lot of people who have never done a Ragnar, and they see the people from our community doing it, and they always want to get involved and participate and do one. But what we found is, as our teams have grown, we went from just a couple of teams, and now we have 8 teams. It can be quite difficult to get into an established group, because once a team is established and they become quite tight-knit...
You can't break up the van.
You can't, because, well, I mean, we were taking band photos this time, so you can't break up the band.
The poor band.
But your teams become quite close-knit, and they'll reform exactly as they are. So it's difficult for, even just within our own community, for people to break into new teams. So I can't imagine how difficult it is to just drop into a team of strangers.
But occasionally actually in every team because I've actually ended up being the odd woman out, I guess, in a team where, like, everybody's known each other for like 15 billion years. That happened to me, for instance, at Reach the Beach.
Okay.
I ran Reach the Beach and, up in New Hampshire, and I landed in a team, a very established team. They'd run, like, the first Reach the Beach until then, and it was the same group, but they had an injury and the person couldn't run, so they needed to fill somebody, and they took me in, and it was a Scottish team. It was a bunch of Scots.
Yeah.
So the team was Team Poke Mohara, which apparently in Gaelic means kiss my ass.
Okay.
And they all run in kilts. So they had a kilt for me, waiting for me. They're like, you have to run in this. I was like, okay, sure.
Why not?
And it was fun. It was fantastic. We had a blast. We had a great time. But I was definitely the odd person out. So I didn't get any of the inside jokes. So they all had to like kind of explain it to me.
So what you're saying is you don't have any Scottish blood in you?
None.
No?
None.
Okay.
None. But I'm hoping that like eventually I'll marry Gerard Butler and
there you go.
That'll fix that.
It's a life goal.
Life goal.
Yep.
So Gerard, if you're listening to this, hi.
I mean, I hear he's a huge fan of our show.
I do too. That's what I heard. Yeah. He stopped me in the grocery store the other day.
I bet.
Told us he enjoyed the show.
Everybody's listening. Tweeted Gerard Butler. And tell him to listen to the
Twitter
show.
storm of about 6 people.
Hi, Gerard.
And 2 of them will be our moms.
Right.
And we'll have to show them how to use Twitter for that.
My mom is very active on Twitter.
Oh,
It's
okay.
unfortunate.
If your mom could hook me up with Gerard, she'd be the most epic person ever.
I'd agree.
So Team NES Ninjas is bringing the band back together next year, we believe. I imagine there'll be a whole bunch of Spartans teams starting.
Yep.
It's
If anybody's looking for,
a cute dog and a runner.
yeah, don't even. I'm just chopped liver. Everybody, if you want the dog on your team, we kind of come as a package deal, so you kind of have to
Someone
take
has
me
to feed
too.
the dog, so, you know.
Someone's got to put her on a flight, you know.
Get her there.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Somebody's got to be her chauffeur.
So once we did the Cape Cod race, you guys went on and were idiots.
Poor life choices.
And went to Rutland because there was a Spartan Sprint there, right?
Yeah.
Indeed.
Now, let's talk about the stuff that had been happening before the sprint, because once again, Spartan managed to completely drop the ball.
I don't want to talk about. No, I guess I have to talk about that.
That's why we're here.
It was traumatizing. I'm not sure I want to talk about that.
They had dropped the ball on parking, something that they do at every race, and they shouldn't be dropping the ball on it anymore, but the ball had been dropped. So how was parking?
As many races as Roxie and I travel around to run, and we've traveled. I mean, the dog has 17 trifectas. We travel a lot.
Yeah.
This was the absolute worst parking experience ever. So it's even harder to go from such a high for Ragnar to such a low for this. I mean, well, until at least I got to the start line, and then it got better. But the parking situation. So first of all, you follow your GPS, and it kind of gets you there, but you end up there, and then you're told that you can't park there. It's VIP parking, that regular general parking is 5.5 miles away. So you drive over like 10, 15 minutes in traffic along these like little back roads to finally get to the parking. Once you get to the parking, it's a massively huge field. I got put in like, I don't know, my own planet apparently. And you literally walk like half a mile just to get to a bus to go pay $5 to get on a bus to take you the other 5.5 miles back, all the way back to the start line.
And what's funny is we're quite used to that, because out here, nowhere seems to have their own on-site parking.
That's
Like, none of the venues have it on-site, pretty much. It's all shuttle buses, which I hate.
Which I find really odd, considering the fact that you guys have a lot of open space.
Yeah. Yeah, but nowhere has lots of parking. How was your experience, Josh, from someone who was there last year?
I mean, so the biggest fiasco, I think, was just leading up to it. So Spartan said right up front in the event page that parking is limited, and they encourage people to carpool because there'll be shuttles and there's limited space. So they did what they could to make sure that people were aware that parking spaces were going to be a problem. Now, the big issue last year was where they had the parking, there was one entrance in and one entrance out. So that means if there was a backup in getting people into the parking spaces, that backup flowed into the roads of this town. And these are small towns, right?
Yeah.
So one road, you got residents that are coming and going, doing their thing. They don't want to be bothered with 5,000 Spartan race a-holes that are coming in and rolling around in the mud. So then Spartan said, all right, you know what? We're just going to let you come into the parking lot, park your car, and we're going to charge you $5 a ride the shuttle. Well, the problem with that is that people that are carpooling now just got penalized because their car is actually going to pay more because they're charging by the head.
Yep.
And then they walked that back and said, okay, maybe we did this wrong. We've heard your feedback, and it's going to be.
But this was like Friday night.
Yeah. They definitely, they didn't think it out and communicate it well. I mean, in reality, my parking experience wasn't bad. I got to the lot. It was a big field. I parked in the back of the field. I walked to a shuttle, and Treasure Valley campground or reservation, whatever it is a big scout like camping area. So they drop you off, and it's about a half-mile walk
to registration
to the venue. So I went into it knowing that, so I didn't have a terrible experience. And from what I hear on Saturday, one, the weather was miserable, so everybody's going to be miserable no matter what you're doing. The bus driver told us, he's like, these buses yesterday were just covered in mud, and there were lines getting people out of there. But I will say, on Sunday when we were leaving, they had bus after bus lined up. Not as many people at all on Sunday. Like from what I hear, the festival area was not even close to being as busy as it was Saturday.
Well, it's Mother's Day. Everybody,
So, I didn't have a terrible parking experience. And then the race experience, I thought, I have only good things to talk about when it comes to that venue. I really like it.
That is true. Like I said, the leading up to the start line, it was awful for me. It was even more awful because of the fact that I was already coming from a very high. I was coming from a high because of Ragnar. Mm-hmm. So when I showed up, when it takes you an hour just to get yourself to the venue, you're at that point, you're just kind of, I was pretty irked, but I went ahead, got my gear together, got my dog stuff together, and got to the start line. And once we took off, all that was forgotten. That race venue was fantastic. I enjoyed myself tremendously. And then just to make it even better, like the sky just parted open and it was just beautiful. And it was just the sun came out, and it was just a really great venue for that race. I enjoyed it. And it was a little, it had inclines and it had hills, and which made it interesting. It didn't make it like intolerable. It wasn't, something absolutely painful. It wasn't Tuxedo or something grossly horrible like Killington or Pennsylvania, or it was just right to me. And it had nice water traverses and cold, but nice. And
they felt good after Ragnar, so I was all for it.
Yeah. It was, I had a very, very nice time. And Spartan used the time well, or used the course well, used the terrain well, and set things up right. This was great. It was, once I finished and I had to go back to parking, then I remembered why I hated all that again. Especially considering the half-mile trek back to the bus was all uphill. Right. Yeah.
Yeah, when you're walking to the venue, it's great because you're just cruising downhill at a nice pace, but then you're leaving, you got to trek back up this dirt road. But I'll mirror everything you said about the course. I really like the venue. It's a good mix of technical trails, open road running, some inclines, not enough inclines to be, really daunting. They have to get creative with where they put like the sandbag and the bucket carries, right? You're doing bucket carries through like creeks and over rock beds and something you don't generally do with a bucket carry. And it's a runner's course, hands down. It's a course where if you are a speed guy, then you'll probably love it. The one thing that I hated is they put the spear throw in this big open field. But you were throwing the spear uphill.
Uphill. What? Yes. Yeah. Oh, it was awful. And
did you get it? Did you get it, Josh?
I got it. So I came up to it, and the two people next to me were throwing the spear, and they couldn't even get it to the hay bale because it was it was uphill when you're throwing the spear. And I was like, I think the key is you have to throw it underhand. And the lady goes, "Are you joking?" And I just went, whoop, underhand, and it went right in. And I was like, that's how it's done. And I just ran along. So, but
I hate people like you.
Yeah. And it's funny because after the spear throw, we had a few other obstacles, the Herc hoist, but this is one of the first times at Spartan that there was no obstacles right before the finish line. So it went spear throw, vertical cargo net, Herc hoist, and then about a half a mile just sprint to the finish.
Yeah, it was
And
just
it was
downhill.
well,
Oh
they
no,
had
that
fire.
was a fire, but that's
Okay.
it.
I don't cons-
That's
it's
not an
normally
obstacle.
a rig right before it,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
whatever.
A slip wall or something like that. Yeah. Or,
Yeah, there was
Nothing.
there was just a long sprint downhill. It was muddy by the time we got there, and I'll tell you, if you were running competitive, it probably was super fun to just blast down that hill and come right out to the finish line at full speed. They also did a ton of other stuff during the weekend. So they did Saturday. They did guided tours of the festival areas for people that are new to Spartan. So they invited people to meet up in an area, and they did tours of some of the obstacles. They took them around to meet some of the vendors and what the vendors provide.
That's something that they've been doing now for a while at several venues.
Okay.
It's a way for Spartan. You sign up, it's free. It's usually on like Friday afternoons or whatnot, and they'll give you like a little swag bag with like a water bottle or some random stuff like that. And basically they just kind of show you like, listen, Spartan is not as scary as it might look on TV, and look, you two can like check this out and try it yourself. Give it a whirl, see how it is. It's a new kind of thing that Spartan's trying out, and I like it. It's a good way to kind of introduce people to our insane world here.
Is it geared towards potential runners or to
It is
not to spectators?
spectators and family members, and to get them into the possibility of doing them as well.
And they actually took it one step further, and they did, and I don't know if they've ever done this before, but they actually had a guided run as well. So they actually had prior competitors running with groups of novice Spartan racers. So, Bubbles, the guy that wears the clown mask, the really high pitch, Kevin Gregory. So
Kevin.
I think he told me before the weekend that he was going to do a guided tour of the race. So he was actually taking out people that have not run before for their first run. And it could have just been something they were doing for Mother's Day because it's Mother's Day weekend, or it could be something that catches on and they do at the other races.
Was he chasing them in his clown car? That would motivate me to go faster through a Spartan race.
That would motivate me to never, ever come back to one of these events ever again.
They had this guy in a clown mask, and he was chasing me through the forest.
But I mean, I'll tell you, for all the the flack we've given them about not innovating or not offering new things at events, they're definitely trying this year. And one good perk, I will say, I managed to get our biggest team award for Saturday. So now they're giving away, instead of patches, which we all have thousands of,
Delta coins.
they're giving away Delta pieces. So little triangular Delta pieces that everybody, and they say biggest team on it. So you get a unique kind of Delta affixment if you go out and buy the Delta itself. And if anybody from the biggest team on Saturday is listening, I promise we will get them to you. They're sitting here in a bag. I just got to figure out how to get them to you. So we'll work on that.
Very cool.
But yeah, they're working on it. They're doing everything they can to stay relevant and to keep people interested. And things like the open house and these guided tours and stuff like that seems to be pretty darn successful for them. So
that's a slightly different conversation, but we always talk about innovation as being the thing that will keep these guys alive, right? They've got to innovate, they've got to have new stuff. We've always given Spartan crap because they don't innovate on course, and Tough Mudder does innovate on course.
Quite a bit.
Well, now what we're seeing is Tough Mudder are trying to throw many, many different race formats. And we've already talked on the show about how it's potentially too many and too complicated, and they've got a 5K and a half distance, a full distance, and blah 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 blah.
They have the 5K, the half, the full. They have the competitive heat, which is tougher. Then they have toughest, which is the 8-hour. Then they have world's toughest, which is 24
so
hour.
Spartan are starting to do more stuff that isn't race specific. They're starting to do these guided tours.
And actually in Philly next week, they will actually have the Rough Mudder, which is basically a course now for dogs.
Yes.
Yes.
Can you guess how she knows?
Yes, because we are the poster. Well, my dog is the poster child for that, apparently. But yes.
So, which one of those is the right way to innovate?
Actually, Spartan did something a little different this year too. With the kids course, they now have designated. They have a trifecta for children, so children can do the half-mile course, the 1-mile course, and a 2-mile course. And if they do all 3 of those in a calendar year, they get a trifecta.
In a
They
year?
get a kids trifecta.
That's cool. I did not know about that.
Yeah,
and they do
that
kid
just
podium
started.
spots too. So
Yes,
Okay.
they do. They have a competitive. Yes,
That I did not know.
they have started ramping up the kids.
Huh. Okay. That's pretty cool. I wonder why that's not been made more of a deal, because that's a big draw for a lot of families.
Indeed.
I'm going to Google while we're talking, but I'm pretty sure I saw they were doing like a Spartan family pass as well.
I think so too. I
yeah.
think I've
Because
seen
I
that
gotta
as
say,
well.
I wouldn't. I'm at the point now where I've run so many Spartans, I have no interest. Right, the guided tours, those don't do anything for me, and their
Right.
courses
So-
haven't changed.
so-
But if there was a kids stuff going on, more than just the kids race, like
You'd go
Dylan-
in order to take your
Yeah, I mean,
son.
Dylan has been to a Spartan race, and Dylan has run 5 laps of the kids course in one day. But if there's something for him to do over a year, that's
I've seen
a draw.
kids do all three trifectas in one day,
Sure.
or like all
Yeah,
three.
he probably would.
Three, yeah.
But that's a draw to people like me who have kind of drifted away. I'm not going to come in because there's a guided tour, but I would come in because my kid can do something.
I mean, you can try doing different things. I mean, I know that Spartan also introduced, for instance, I actually partook in it, and it's like basically a day kind of a clinic per se. It's the obstacle.
I'm not interested in somebody telling me
Yeah.
how I'm falling off the monkey bars wrong.
Well,
Because I know I'm falling off the monkey bars whether I'm doing it right or wrong.
indeed, but I will say that a lot of the tips that I got when I did it, actually, at the time that I did it, I was actually recovering from an injury myself, and it helped me tremendously in how I view, how I approach an obstacle and how I view an obstacle. And it's actually kind of helped me tremendously. My instructor was actually Kevin Donahue, and he was fantastic. He was instrumental in teaching me quite a few things. So
Yeah, and especially when it comes to the competitive aspect of it, you'd be amazed at how efficient people can be when they
Sure.
think about these problems. So instead of,
my
running
rig
up to
work is
Olympus and just grabbing something and trying to figure it out as you're on the obstacle, if you go into it thinking, I've got to do this. Like, for me, when I go to the spear throw, I look for the haystacks that are a little below me where I'm standing. And I so there's a lot of methodical thought that goes into it. So,
and they discuss all this.
yeah.
Yeah.
And things like the open house let you actually go and try an obstacle. So before you get to it, instead of just winging it, and you might pick the wrong lane, and at that point it's too late. Then you're doing burpees. Where me, I get to the rig, and we didn't even talk about the Jersey Ultra. We can do that in another episode. We did the open house for the Ultra beforehand, and you went and looked at the rig, and I looked at the rig and I said, I'm going to find the lane that has the easiest sort of, layout of ropes and rings, and also has the lowest ring. So actually, before I even got to it, I knew what lane I was going into. And just the ability to go see that beforehand and pick up that is what, maybe I'm sharing insider secrets that I shouldn't, but I'm not anyway, so it doesn't matter. Just that stuff, I think.
We'll
gives
know what
people-
happened to you when we don't hear from you tomorrow.
Right.
You shared too much.
People will enjoy it more if they go into it knowing that they have a plan when they can complete something.
Yeah.
Because if they go into a rig and they don't know how to complete it, or they just don't know the flow of it or what they should do, right? Once people realize on the monkey bars that you need to keep your momentum, the monkey bars is an easy solution.
Exactly.
And same with the platinum rigs and all this stuff. And I think the more you encourage people to find out and learn about that stuff, the more they're going to keep coming back. If they get discouraged, they're not going to come back. So,
I mean, we had an entire session during that clinic where all we did was just like basically count in our head our momentum as we were swinging from ring to ring, just to be able to get the grip so that we don't use as much energy for it. My rig game is now strong as all get out. I haven't failed a rig since. It's been fantastic.
and she's got great momentum even while the dog is under her barking at her feet. I have it on video.
And trying to pull me off. Yeah, true story.
Well, so a year ago, we would have probably all agreed that Tough Mudder was out-innovating Spartan like crazy. They were running circles around them. So a Spartan starting to add stuff that's beyond their course work, that's catching up and maybe even overtaking Tough Mudder.
Well,
If Tough Mudder are busy flailing around trying to throw races at their course and see what sticks.
Don't
you know?
take it for granted, and don't underestimate Tough Mudder, because Tough Mudder comes up with new stuff every year specifically for World's Toughest Mudder, and they use World's Toughest almost as a testing ground to some extent for mass amounts of people going through. They test it in their testing site, and then they bring it out to World's Toughest and destroy it 17 times, and then they standardize it. That's how, like, some of my personal favorites have come through, like Block Ness Monster, and how, King of the Swingers was huge throughout last year. I think it's actually been phased out, and other things are being used now. But no, Tough Mudder is strong with their obstacle game. Spartan doesn't look to do that, because Spartan, to me, they're trying to standardize, because
they're not
trying
interested in new obstacles.
They're not. They're trying to make their sport an Olympic sport, and they want to focus more on the purity, I guess. You know, they don't want to make an obstacle all complicated and gimmicky per se. They want to have, they want the purity of, like, the physical aspect of the sport.
I've heard Joe on Matt's podcast talking about that, and it was very matter of fact. Is like, we don't want to be constantly trying to one up ourselves. You know, every year trying to reinvent stuff. We want to have a consistent, solid baseline product.
And they have to.
I totally appreciate all of that, but it's, at the end of the day, one of them has to be leading over the other. And I'm always wondering which way around it is, because that's the trend everyone behind them is going to follow. You know?
But you're also, I mean, like I said, they're trying to standardize things, and in order to standardize, you have to set, set something for a specific amount of time the way it is. It's just got to be the way it is. Now, Spartan they've come up with Olympus and Twister in recent years, and Twister is probably the newest thing that they have. And I mean, I know that they've tried to conceptualize other things. So a few years ago, I course tested on the first season of Teen Spartan, and I got to run out the course and go break all the obstacles. I mean, we were the team that I was on that was going out course testing, we were called Team We Can't Have Nice Things, because we were literally just breaking things everywhere, which we had to do just to make sure it didn't happen on live TV. With that said, a lot of those obstacles were really cool, and I actually messaged Joe DeCina after it. I sent him an email, and I was like, Joe, why are some of these things not on your Spartan courses? Why are these things like, why don't you make a version of this that people can go through regularly? And he messaged me back, and he goes, well, for starters, that course that you ran cost me $7 million to build. It's expensive to build big gimmicky things like that. So, which is why, this is why OCR is charging up the wazoo, and why they need sponsors, and why, so many are going under and so many are breaking even barely.
And that's the thing. It's like, when you think about if anything, Spartan just has the advantage in terms of numerous races, right? They've got a race probably every weekend for the remainder of this year, where Tough Mudder is
races.
more.
They had 3 last weekend?
They have 3 different races,
in 3 different
stadium
places.
Race, Fayetteville, and they had the Boston Sprint. So, and their focus obviously is getting it online, letting people view it if you're not there, and it's far more efficient just doing the same thing over and over again and getting very good at it. We know the build teams here on the East Coast, and these guys they're methodical about
clockwork.
Show up, get it built, get it done, and then get out of there. By the time we were leaving at it was maybe 3:15, they were already breaking down walls. They had obstacles down. So they get pretty good at it. So it'll be, so far, if I had to give grades at the 5 out of 12 month mark, I'd give Spartan like an A- this year, and sadly I can't give Tough Mudder a grade because I don't have any homework from them yet. So
all right, so Ragnar was awesome. It sounds like Spartan was pretty solid.
Indeed.
Yeah,
we've got Bone Frog coming up, I think, next weekend.
Yep. No, this coming weekend.
This coming weekend is Bone Frog in Charlemont, Massachusetts.
Yep.
So I don't know who's going. I actually don't know if I'm going. I will
not be.
Not going? I don't know if Sandy is. I don't know if Sandy's cleared to do that kind of stuff yet. Probably not. So, do we have anything else, or do we call it for the night?
I mean, we get a lot to talk about, but we can put that off to another episode. There's all kinds of things still going on.
We can always record a bunch of episodes.
Well,
that's called a teaser, ladies and gentlemen.
Same time, same bat channel.
If you're talking about getting homework for Tough Mudder, I know Tough Mudder Boston will be coming up soon enough, and I know I'll be up here running Toughest that evening.
So you're coming up for the Tough Mudder Boston?
Yes.
Do you know where that is?
It's
in Carter and Stevens Farm, which is 20 minutes away from here.
Oh, really?
Yes, it is.
Guess where I'm crashing.
All right, let's call it. So, thank you for coming on, Desiree.
Thank you for having me.
You too, Roxie. Roxie says goodbye, everyone.
I swear she's actually there.
She actually is here. Josh saw her earlier.
Yep.
Thank you, Josh.
All right. Have a good night.
Good night.
As always, guys, thanks so much for checking out the show. We'd love to hear what you think, so give us some feedback. Submit a question, share a story from one of your recent races or events. I think the show gets better and better with your participation, and it's not just Paul, Sandy, and myself talking. So to reach out, ask questions, suggest a topic, whatever it may be. Follow along on Facebook. We've got a dedicated Any Spartans show page, or you can join the community at Any Spartans on Facebook as well. Twitter's your thing. Shoot us a tweet at Any Spartans. And if you want to find our full library of episodes, I'd recommend either iTunes or Stitcher. So again, for Paul, Sandy, myself, thanks so much for listening, and until next time.